Hi folks, we've come to the end of the campaign. So today I'm going to be talking about wrapping up the campaign that I've been running in this GM diary. It's been a while since our last session, but also a couple of the people that are in the campaign that I've been running are going to be moving. So we kind of all got together and said, hey, let's have one last session, try and find time, fit it into our schedules. And I especially wanted to kind of bring some kind of closure to the campaign so that it just didn't fizzle off into nowhere, as unfortunately a lot of campaigns happen just as people get busy and life gets in the way. So as I'm filming this, it's been less than an hour since we finished. So I'm still kind of processing through some things, and I'll probably do a whole separate, like maybe other video kind of talking about what I've learned running my first campaign. But I wanted to specifically talk about what my thought process was going into this last session. So one thing that I knew I definitely wanted to do was I wanted to bring closure to the storyline that we were running. I actually had planned for there to be a number of other events leading to the end of this storyline, but when we kind of realized, okay, we're going to need to wrap this up fairly soon, 1 or 2 sessions, I changed some things around because, hey, it was on paper in my notes, but it hadn't happened in-game, some of this knowledge. So I was like, I can just change it because I'm the only one that knows this. And it doesn't really change anything that's already been established within the world. So I kind of changed it so that they didn't have to finish stopping all of these rituals, but they just had to stop a majority. And as it turned out, they were ending the 5th ritual of 8. So that would take it from half to a majority. So first of all, there was figuring that out. And then the second thing was kind of thinking through ways that I wanted to wrap things up for the characters. But before we get to that, so with the ending the session, or ending that storyline, I had to pull in a few things, make sure that, okay, there's going to be some NPCs that they'll be able to talk to. I made sure there was a mechanic in place for them to return to kind of the first place they had started, where a lot of the NPCs had been going, so that they could chat with them and wrap up that storyline, as well as it was just a nice moment to get to see some of these NPCs again, find out what they've been up to in the time between when they had last seen them. And bring a little bit of closure there. Like, they got to go back to, like, the first place where they were a party, and that I thought that was just a nice, like, bringing it back around moment. All right, so moving into the wrapping up for characters, I wanted to make sure that I had some way to kind of have everybody get a choice of going off and doing something on their own. They had completed their task as a party, and, find however you want to wrap it up. But for me, I knew I kind of wanted to have people have the opportunity to go off and do their own thing, partially because there's a chance that some of the players might continue playing within the world of the game. So if that character if they wanted to do that with their existing character, great. I know a couple of them had mentioned maybe rolling up a different character, but it's still staying within that world for my second campaign, which is nice. That made me happy that they enjoyed the world I created. So I kind of had a few ideas for each character of things that I could offer them, and then kind of whatever one worked out depending on what they did. Because again, the way that they wrapped up that storyline, I gave them some hints, but didn't make a decision of like, this is the only thing they can do. There were a couple different ways they could have gone about solving that final problem. I felt like the end was maybe a little rushed. We didn't quite have as much of touching moments between characters as they did go off and get to choose their own things. But people seemed fairly happy with what I gave them of like, here is an opportunity for your character to have purpose now that they've done this thing that they've been working towards for these months and months of time, as kind of this big mission. And it's like, oh yay, great, you've accomplished this. Now what? because they're not really at that level where it's kind of like, oh, well, we'll go into retirement. So I gave them all an opportunity for the characters to live on. Now, if they had made a different choice of how they wanted to go about trying to end the ritual, there was also a chance that maybe one or two of the characters might have died, or all of them, just depending on how they approached it. That would have been a much sadder way to wrap up the campaign, just because I love these characters. So for me, the idea of them living on, I really liked. And I will say, like, I have mixed emotions as the GM of it being the last session, just because I'm done. It's done. The story's done. But I do have some thoughts on, like, how I could improve it if I were to run this campaign again, as well as just ways to flesh out and kind of polish some of the world, because I like this world that I've created, and I'd be happy to run more games in this setting, and have some ideas of ways to embellish it more and polish it off. So we wrapped up the session, and as people were packing up, I decided to ask, hey, does anybody have any questions about who this person was or what this thing was? Any questions that didn't get wrapped up? Just figuring, especially because two of the players we won't get to be playing with unless we do like an online thing. Now, I wasn't able to wrap up everything. Everything didn't get wrapped up in a neat, tight bow. And I don't think that even I'm doubtful that even the most talented GMs can wrap everything up. All of those loose ends, all of those little story hooks that you have in there. So because of that, I wanted to give the players an opportunity to ask those questions if they wanted to know. And there were a couple of things that they kind of didn't quite ask, but I could clearly tell that people wanted to know. So it was like, do you want to know this? I'm happy to tell you who this NPC was or what was going on with this other storyline that was hinted at, that just unfortunately we didn't have time to really delve deep into it. And, you know, with any world, I think there's going to be elements that you don't have time to fully cover, or most of the characters aren't interested in following this one, but maybe there's one character or one particular player that was like, hey, we chose to go off on a different angle, but I want to know what this thing was over here. So that was why I wanted to open it up for any questions, as well as just, it was a fun moment for me to be like, here are all the ideas I had that you hadn't gotten to. Wah! So, a little bittersweet. I'm going to miss this world and these characters, but I was very glad that we were able to wrap it up, because unfortunately a lot of I've been in a couple of campaigns that have just kind of fizzled out. I have one campaign I was in, we did kind of realize it was starting to fizzle out, so the GM purposely was like, okay, I'm going to run this last session and we're going to wrap it up. Or I think it was like a last couple of sessions, like we had 3 sessions kind of leading into it. So that's one thing, I guess, if to take from this is be mindful of, like, if you're discovering, like, people's life has changed enough that they're finding it really hard to get together to game, or people are losing interest, maybe gauge and ask, hey, are we interested in finding a way to wrap this up and either moving on to a new story, campaign, setting, system, or wrapping it up and saying, okay, maybe we'll do this again, but for the time, this is going to be the end of our group. And it's sad, but, you know, it happens. It's part of life. And people go their separate ways, or they get jobs and have to move, or have kids and suddenly, or any kind of major life change, and suddenly it's like, I don't have time to get together every Saturday or every couple of Saturdays to game. So I was very glad we were able to wrap it up. So as I said before, I'll do probably another video with final thoughts and things that I've learned in general from running my first campaign, what I might do differently next time. But yeah, if you've wrapped up a campaign recently or a long time ago, how did it work out for you? Did you change things because you knew you were going to be wrapping up early, or were you able to actually play through all of the sessions you had planned out? I'd love to hear how that final game went, as well as just kind of how you felt down in the comments below. A big thanks to our patrons, especially Tucker. If you want to support our channel, you can head over to our Patreon page and check out the perks of being a patron. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video and know any GM that might be wrapping up a campaign and looking for, like, some tips or just somebody to be like, yep, it's sad, but also nice to be like, it's completed. I hope you share this video with them. We make videos here every Tuesday and Thursday, but go ahead and hit that subscription button so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos, and follow us on Twitter and Instagram, where we post about other cool stuff we're doing. All right, I'll see you next time on Roll for Initiative. Bye! Sorry, the AC just kicked on.